So in today's video, I want to talk about if I create an eyeshadow palette, what shades would I put in it? Now we all know that I love colourful eyeshadow, as you can see, and if you follow me on my channel or on my beauty Instagram, it's beauty by Skye, beauty with 2 Y's, if you want to go and give me a follow there. If you want to see like more of my specific makeup looks, since I don't really do tutorials that often, I love eyeshadow, and more importantly, I love colourful eyeshadow. That is where I thrive, that's my favourite part of makeup, which is why I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. This was a lot harder for me to do than I initially thought, because I wanted to create a curated colour story that represented me in a palette, essentially. And also, it was really hard not to throw in every single colour because I didn't want to create a basic rainbow palette. But when I look at the shades I've chosen, I've written them all out right here. It really does feel like a me palette. I did choose to create a 12-pan palette because I love 12-pan palettes, that's my favourite. And also, I have to clarify, this palette isn't real. This isn't a real palette. I'm just taking shades from my collection and just showing you if I create a palette, this is what it would look like. However, if any brands wanna collab with me, I'd really appreciate it. So let's start off with the first row. The first row, I wanted to be a beautiful pink dream. So naturally, I chose a couple of shades from my Melt Millennial Pinks palette, and I decided that I really wanted the shade Pink Leather in the palette, and it looks like a beige in the pan, but on the skin, it looks like a really, really nice light baby powdery pink. And this is actually a really good colour to put all over your lid as like a neutral shade. If you have a deeper skin tone, this might not work out, it might look a bit ashy on you, and also it's a very good shade to blend other pinks in the crease. The second shade that I would have in my palette is a shade similar to Flamingo Dream in the Melt Millennial Pinks palette as well. It's definitely a warm flamingo pink. It's not a cool toned pink, it's definitely a warm pink. And again, I love mid-tone pinks a lot. I use them really frequently, and you can also use them as blush as well. The third shade in the palette, I would definitely have a nice, beautiful, bright, hot pink. And for that, I would choose a shade similar to Level Up in the Sugarpill Fun Size Mini Palette. I feel like if you have a pink palette, it's pretty standard to have a hot pink in there. It just gives the palette a bit more vibrancy and a bit more oomph, instead of just having like a neutrally pink palette, because pinks could be considered neutrals, but when you throw a hot pink in there, you really switch things up. And for the final shade in the first row, I wanted to have something that would be a good deepening shade. Not only a deepening shade for the pinks, but also for the other colours that I threw in this palette. And one shade that I am absolutely obsessed with is this berry shade from Lethal Cosmetics, and it's called Unity. It's the perfect deep berry to deepen up anything, or even if you want a really smoky look, blend this all over the lid with a couple of lighter shades in the crease just to make it a seamless blend to your skin tone, and you've got a perfect smoky eye. Now we're moving on to the second row, and this row, y'all know, if you know me, you know that I had to have a blue row somewhere. So first I would want to have a cornflower type blue, and I would want something similar to the shade Dabba from the Colourpop Blue Moon palette. Cornflower blues are so pretty because they have this interesting undertone to them. They're not quite, I'm trying to look at it. It's kind of got like a purple undertone to it, actually. So this means it would pair really nicely with pink shades, but also really nicely with blue shades or purple shades. It's a pretty universal blue colour, in my opinion, or a shade of blue. Now for the next blue shade, I really wanted to have a nice classic pastel blue, and Moonlight from the Colourpop Blue Moon palette is my favourite pastel blue. It's so light and pretty, and I love using this shade all over the lid. I like using pastels all over the lid. I just like one eyeshadow type looks. It's a really simple way to inject a colourful eyeshadow look, but make it really simple. So if you ever have any colourful eyeshadows and you don't know how to use them because you're not used to them, try putting one shade all over the lid and blending it out, and if you want to be a bit spicy, add some winged liner, and there you go, you've got a beautiful colourful look. That was super easy to do. Now you may have noticed that I haven't shown you any shimmer shades yet, and that's because I'm very picky when it comes to shimmer eyeshadows. I don't like standard shimmers. I like metallics with a lot of glitter in them, something that's super high shine and super, like, reflective on the eyes. And for my blue shade, I would want something a bit more aqua, not a traditional blue, because traditional blues, we find them in every palette. Remember the pop of blue effect back in like 2018? Instead, I really wanted to include a metallic teal aqua shade, and something just like Kaleidos Tron from the Electro Turquoise palette is my dream. It's the most beautiful metallic turquoise and it has a bit of a gold shift to it, so it makes it even more unique looking on the eye. And for the last shade in the third row, I wanted a traditional aqua because I love aqua. I mean, I love all shades of blue, but aqua really does it for me. And this is Nabla's New Heaven, the perfect aqua. This pairs really nicely with the metallic shade from Kaleidos, and this also pairs really nicely with pastels. This shade to me, I love it because it's bright, but also it could be pastel, but it's also bright. Like, it's that very fine line between pastel and bright. Now, the final row in this imaginary Skye the Cloud eyeshadow palette collab is a bit of an amalgamation of different shades. It was a bit difficult for me to choose because I did want to add one more blue shade because I can't get enough blues. And the final blue that I wanted to actually add into this make-believe palette is just a classic electric blue. This could be used to deepen up other shades of blue, also pairs really nicely with the other ones. This is Fine China from the Colourpop Blue Moon palette. I love this blue, it's a beautiful, beautiful, just classic royal electric blue. Royal blue and electric blue are different shades of blue. I then thought that I also wanted a purple in this palette, and I didn't want to have a royal purple because it wouldn't really pair that well with the other shades. I mean, it could, but with the pinks, it might be a little bit more difficult to work with. So I chose a beautiful pastel purple, and this is from Nabla. This is Nabla's Lotus. This shade is perfect because it's kind of like a lilac, but it's a bit deeper than a lilac. Like, this could work on deeper skin tones easily. I would want this specific tone of purple because it pairs really nicely with the blues, pairs beautifully with the pinks. It just all around works. And I feel like what's going through companies' minds when they make palettes is, does this palette work completely on its own? Like, can you create a full look with just this palette? Because I like dipping into multiple palettes to create my looks. I rarely actually use one palette for a complete look, but usually that's how palettes are created. They're created so you can use just one palette to finish your look. And now I wanted a pop of colour that was not blue or purple or pink. I wanted something completely different, and I was really torn between a classic bright yellow, because we all know how much I love yellow so much. It's one of my favorite colours. But then I thought, you know, yellow is used as a pop of colour in a lot of palettes, and I wanted to do something a little bit more unique, so I thought metallic lime green. I feel like this would be quite out of the box for a lot of people, but I feel like when you look at it in comparison to the rest of the shades in the palette, it does kind of work. You could use this as a really interesting inner corner highlight, or you could use this all over the lid with the pinks, with the blues, with the purple as well. It just creates an interesting dynamic, like an interesting, contrast. And I figured that since my made-up palette is mostly consisting of mattes, I would want my lime green to be a high shine metallic. This metallic from Lethal, it's Lethal's Vertex. It's not as metallic as I would want it to be. This would be the perfect lime green metallic if it was super high shine like the Kaleidos one with like glitter in it, but this isn't. But my shadow would be just like that if I had to create one. This is making me realize how badly I want this palette to exist. Like, can any indie brand hit me up? Can we create a palette together? Anyways, the final shade I would include in this made-up palette, I wanted to have something that would be a perfect inner corner highlight, and not just a standard, like, metallic white, metallic pink, like pale pink, metallic pale blue. No, I wanted to go along the green theme, since I wanted to make the metallic lime green kind of work together as a whole with the palette, so I would choose a shade like this. You can't really see the shine on camera. This is one of the Devinah Sugar Drops shadows, and this is in the shade Cake Bomb, which this doesn't have a base colour to it, but it is a duochrome aqua blue to lime green, and it's so cool. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but it's incredible. And I thought this shade is absolutely perfect because there's blues in the palette, there's a lime green in the palette. This works really well with pink shades. You might not think it, but it really does. You could use this as a beautiful inner corner highlight. You could pack this slightly over the lid and just give that like ever so there sparkle. Or you could spray your brush and use this all over the lid for like a really, really, really intense duochrome look. I of course need a duochrome in my palette. And here are all of the shades together if you wanted to visualize what kind of palette I would have. I know that it might be out of the box for a lot of people, but these are the shades that I feel most confident in, and these are some of my favorite shades. Obviously, I would love to include a matte yellow, but I figured I would want to give something a bit more me and a bit more unique in a way. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hoped you liked hearing if I created an eyeshadow palette what it would be, and hopefully you actually liked it. Let me know if you actually liked my palette creation. I would love to collab with a brand to create a palette, even though I know that probably would never happen. I mean, never say never, but it's unlikely that I would ever create an eyeshadow palette collab. Let me know if you enjoyed my eyeshadow palette, and also do this at home. Do this at home. Go through your eyeshadow collection and pick out shades that if you created a palette yourself, like to sell on the market, what would you create? Like, what palette represents you? And let me know down in the comments, like, what shades you would have picked, or what colors you would have picked, or what theme you would have picked. You can follow me on my social media accounts. I have 2 Instagram accounts. I live stream on Twitch 3 times a week, and my Spotify are all linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!